Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Garris. I am a certified birth through 6 educator, and I am currently working on completing my master's at SUNY Potsdam to be an instructional technology specialist. Today, I'm going to be presenting a workshop on Canva, more specifically, how to create newsletters and presentations within this platform. But before we begin, I would like to thank you for your participation in this workshop. If you find yourself having any comments or questions throughout this workshop, please comment down below, or you can send me an email. My email is missgehres@gmail.com. That is missgehres@gmail.com. And I will be providing my email throughout this presentation as well. So first, we're going to go over the agenda for today. First, we're going to cover newsletters, and then we're going to jump right into presentations. But before we jump right into any content, I would like to ask you all some questions that I have for you. I have 3 reflect and respond questions for our newsletter section, and then I will have another reflect and respond question when it comes to our presentations. So let's jump right into the reflect and respond questions, and you can either post your responses down below in the comments section, or you can send me an email as well. For our first reflect and respond question, what makes a newsletter stand out? So I want you to think of maybe previous newsletters that you have received or have made that really stood out to you, or maybe stood out to someone else. And again, please comment your response down below, or you can email your responses to missgarris@gmail.com. And again, take your time with these responses. There's no rush at all. If you find yourself having to pause the video while you're writing down your answer, that is also fine. That is more than welcomed. So take your time. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to respond to this, and then once a minute has passed, I am going to move on to the next question. Again, please take your time and feel free to pause the video. Okay, so a minute has passed, and now we're going to move on to the next question. Is there anything that deters someone from reading a newsletter? So think about times when you were looking at a newsletter, or maybe you've seen one that just prevented you from even going further. Maybe it was the colors, maybe it was the design. There's no wrong answers. Again, please take your time. I will give you another minute, and then we'll move on to the next question. Okay, now that a minute has passed, we're going to go on to the next question, which is, have you encountered any struggles when creating newsletters? This could be a technical struggle or even a design struggle. I know sometimes when I'm creating newsletters, my Wi-Fi will go out and then I'll have to go back to it later. Or it could be a design aspect where you can't get something to align or the colors just aren't working right. And I'll give you another minute and then we'll move on to all things newsletters. And now that a minute has passed, we're going to move on to all things newsletters. So, newsletters, I know some of us have a love-hate relationship with them. I know some of us are indifferent, but we're going to have fun creating them today. So, but before we can go into creating them, we need to talk about essential questions we need to ask ourselves when creating these newsletters. So let's jump right into it. So these are questions that I like to ask myself when creating these newsletters, and I hope that you ask yourselves too. So, are you creating a weekly or monthly newsletter? I have personally created both. I currently make only monthly newsletters because that is what is required of me. Are you using the same theme for all your newsletters, or are you making each one different? I have also done both of these. I have made weekly newsletters that have been different themes, and my monthly newsletters, I currently use the same theme. Some people find it easier to use the same theme. Some others like to make each one different. It's really your preference and what you have access to and other factors such as that. The last question states, what information will you include in your newsletter? Everyone's different. Everyone includes different things. I personally like to include a note from me to the families, my contact information, upcoming events, and what we are learning that month. Now I'm going to show you some newsletters that I created throughout my educational experience using Canva. So for my first newsletter that I'm sharing with you, this was actually my first newsletter that I created that was shared with parents. All of my previous newsletters that I created before this were just shared with my professors or my classmates. So this was my first one that I was actually going to be giving out. So I also completed this while I was completing my undergrad at SUNY Oneonta, and I was also completing my practicum at the time in Schenevus, New York. And I wanted parents to know who their child was working with in the classroom. So I included an About Me section and a picture of me so parents could get to know me, and so that they just weren't like, who was this stranger in my child's classroom. And I also included what we were learning that week and then what we were learning the following week. If there was one thing I could change about this newsletter, looking back on it now, I would most likely change the yellow border, because as I continue to look at it, I notice that it is quite hard on the eyes and it's not the best choice. Do you think I could have done something differently? Maybe either with the design or the content wise? You can either comment down below or you can send me an email. Now the next newsletter I'm going to show you is going to be from my week 2 experience. So this is during week 2 of my practicum, and as you can see, I chose to use a different theme, which I think is better than the previous one. I do think the yellow is still a bit of an eyesore, but everyone's different. In this newsletter, I included what we learned that week, as well as what we were learning the following week. And I included what I specifically did with the kids and a picture of the lesson that I had worked on them with. Do you think I could have done anything differently in this one? Please let me know. And for the next newsletter, this is from my week 3 during practicum, which was my last week. And again, I chose a different theme to use. And this was more of a thank you to the parents as well as a goodbye. And in this newsletter, I included what we had learned that week, a picture of the kids on the last day that I was with them. And this theme, I think I would have changed the yellow again. I just think it's a little hard on the eyes unless I made the yellow maybe a bit darker. But let me know what you think. And for this last newsletter that I'm about to show you, this is one of my more recent ones. And this is one that I created for the month of June. So this is my monthly newsletter. I included a note to the families, what we were learning about that month, some upcoming events we had, my contact info, which was typically my email and my phone number. And then I have some little graphics at the top. And again, with this yellow color, I think it is better than the previous yellows that I've used. But let me know what you think about this one as well. I do plan on changing the design for the upcoming school year, so any feedback is welcome. But now that you've seen some designs that you can customize in Canva, I'm going to show you how to get to these templates. So step 1, we're going to go to canva.com. So let's do that. Okay, so this is canva.com. So we completed step 1, check. Now step 2, type in classroom newsletter. Okay. Underneath where it says, what will you design today? So what will you design today? I'm going to type in classroom newsletter. I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm taken to this page. Okay, we completed step 2. Step 3, choose your design. Okay, well, as you can see, when you get to this page, you're going to be given your design that you've previously created at the top, and then all the templates down below. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few templates to choose from. And again, you can customize each of these templates to your liking. You don't have to use the exact template that was created. And as you can see, there's over 3,000 templates. So I'm going to choose this one. Okay, so I chose my design. Step 4, click customize this template. So I'm going to click customize this template. And then I am taken to this page, which is my workspace page. But before we dive into this workspace, let's talk about the Canva Toolbar. So we completed all the steps. We're going to go into the Canva Toolbar, and we're going to focus on these 5 elements here, which is the Design tab, the Elements tab, the Text tab, the Uploads tab, and the Draw tab. So these are the tools that are available to you. As you can see, there are also others available, but we will be focusing on these 5 because these are the ones that you will be able to use to create your newsletter. So for the Design tab, what does it include? Well, it includes a search bar for you to search specific types of templates. For example, you could search You could type in animals at the top, and then it would give you all templates having to do with animals. And you're also going to be shown recently used templates you may have used, as well as suggested templates on the bottom. And this is all under the template section here. When we move to the styles section of the design tab, we are given combinations, which is color schemes and text combined, which can be seen right here. And then you're also given texts and color schemes to choose from separately instead of having to choose the combination. Now let me show you what this looks like in Canva. So I'm going back to my newsletter and I'm going to design. Here I am, and this is templates. So we have recently used, we have the suggested ones, but I'm going to search animals, and then it's going to give me all the templates having to do with animals. Okay? And if I decide I want to use one of these, I can just click it and I click apply, and then it's going to change the design I had originally chosen. But if I decide I want to go back, all I have to do is hit this undo button right here. So I'm going to go back, going to take out animals, and now I'm going to show you the styles section. So I got to take out animals, and then I'm showing the combinations, which is the color palettes with the font sets. And then I have just the color palettes and font sets. So when you choose a combination, that means you're choosing that color palette and that text set. So if I did Arsenal, I was going to use the Arsenal font and the Riley font, as well as this color palette. But when I click the color palette again, it's going to change where the colors go. It'll randomize it for you. And then you can choose this one or this one. The possibilities are endless. And then I'm going to undo it all to go back to my original design. I'm going to go back to templates, and then here we are. Now we're going to go on to the next tab. So the next tab is the Elements tab, which has a lot to dive into. So we of course have our search bar where we can look for specific elements. For example, we can search animals in here as well, and then it would bring up all the elements having to do with animals. You are also shown your recently used elements. You are given shapes, graphics, an AI image generator where you can type in a prompt and then the AI will create that image for you. Like here it says a cute anime cat in a forest with flowers, and then it created that image. You are also given stickers, photos, videos, and audio. And there is also charts you can include, tables, frames, which you can put pictures in, or you could surround your writing in, grids, mock-ups, and collections of themed graphics. So now let's explore the Elements tab in Canva. So let's go to the Elements tab. And as you can see, here's my recently used, the shapes, graphics for my design that was suggested for me by Canva, the AI generator, stickers, photos for my design, videos, audio, charts, tables, frames, grids, mockups, and the collections. So let's search. I'm going to search animals again. And then as you can see, I am given all the elements having to do with animals. So I have the graphics, photos, videos, and audio. So now that we've explored the Elements tab, we are going to explore the Text tab next, which I am sure many of you can guess what that will include. So in the Text tab, you can search fonts and combinations. You can, for example, you can search for Arial, or you can do Times New Roman. And you can, this is where you can also add a text box if you need an extra one. And when you add your text box, that's where you will find your choice of fonts, the size, the color to make it bold, italicized, underlined, strike through, all uppercase or lowercase, the positioning of your text, and you can even bullet point if you would like. Additionally, you have your default text styles where you can have a heading, a subheading, or a body text. And you're also going to have recently used fonts and combinations as well. Now let's explore that in Canva. So I'm going to Bright Rainbow Classroom newsletter that I chose. I'm going to go to text. And as you can see, I can add a text box. I can choose to add a heading, subheading, my body text, and my recently used. And these are the font combinations that Canva provides for you as well. So these are the ones you can choose from. For example, I can click Tech Glitch is what it's called. And then I'm going to delete the text and I'm going to write my own. So I'll write school for the bottom one. And the top, I'll make it preschool. So that's an interesting font. But I think this is more geared towards gaming anyway. But that's just an example to show you. I'm going to delete that. And now we're going to go back to the next tab, which is Uploads. So Uploads has a search bar where you can search uploads you may have previously uploaded, for example, images. It could be video or audio, things like that. And then this is where you also upload files that can be images, audio, or video as well. And not only that, you can also record yourself and then upload that into Canva as well. But you might not need to do that for your newsletter if you're handing your newsletter out to your to the parents of your kids. Now I'm going to show you the Uploads tab within Canva. I'm going to go to Uploads, and as you can see, this is my recently uploaded. This is the Record Yourself button, and then you can upload files here. So when you click Upload Files, you can choose from your image, and then you can upload it into your newsletter. Now the next tab is the Draw tab. So the Draw tab I don't really use for my newsletters, but I know some people do. So it's still an option you can utilize. So we have a thin line drawing tool as well as a thick line drawing tool. The highlighting tool, which you can highlight text and drawings you have made, as well as an eraser tool, because we all need that when we make mistakes. And we have a cursor tool, which you can move things you have drawn or written. And then the color selector, just choose what color you would like your drawing tools to be. And then we have the weight and transparency tool to change the weight and transparency of each writing tool. So let's explore that in Canva. So I'm going to go to the Draw tab. I'm going to take the thin lined marker. I'm going to change the color to purple, and then I'll show you how it writes. Okay, so as you can see, it's thin. And then I'm going to go to the thick marker. I'm going to change the color to, let's do green. I'm going to go over my line a little bit. So as you can see, this is thicker than the other marker. Then we have our highlighter. I'm going to change the highlighter color to this light orange. I'm going to highlight my line instead, as you can see. But of course, you can even highlight the words on your page. And then I'm going to go to the eraser. I'm going to erase this highlighter. Then I'm going to go to my cursor tool. I'm going to move the highlighter over here. Well, maybe down here actually. Then I'm going to move the green line over here. And then I'm going to move the purple line over here. So as you can see, you can move your highlighter, your thin line, and your thick line. And then here's where you can choose also more colors again. And then here is the weight and transparency. So right now I have the highlighter tool selected. The weight, I'm going to make it bigger. So as you can see, it's now this big. Now transparency is at 50. So if I do 100, it's going to be like this. As you can see, it's not as transparent. But if we move it down to 1, you can't even see it. But if we move it up to 20, you can see it's very light. Okay? So that's the drawing tool. So I'm going to undo everything here to make my newsletter go back to the way it was. And then we're going to make a newsletter together with all our new tools that we learned about. So we're going to make one together. So we're all going to choose the same template, but we're all going to make ours the way we like it. So I'm going to make my own as well, and I'm going to be going through step by step what I am doing, just in case you would like to do something similar or wanted to know specifically how to do something. But I want you all to make yours different than mine, but we'll use the same template. And just have fun with it. Pretend it's for your friend, or maybe it's for your students, or maybe for a store or a website. So I'm going to go back to Canva. Make sure you're on canva.com. You search classroom newsletter at the top, and then so you're taken to this page. Okay, I want everyone to choose this newsletter like I had chosen before, the Bright Rainbow Classroom Newsletter. If this does not show up on your feed, you can also type it in at the top in the search bar. So I'll search Bright Rainbow Classroom Newsletter. And as you can see, it pops up right here. So I'm going to click it, going to click Customize, and then I'll be taken to my work page. Okay? And I'm going to exit this because we don't need this. We're not creating letterhead. And I'm going to begin designing my newsletter. And I hope you are too. Remember, this is fun. Take your time. Have fun with it. Experience it. Explore. Experiment. All the 3 E's. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colors of this design right here. The blue, yellow, and green. Well, I think I'm going to keep the blue and the green. I'm going to change the yellow and this peachy color over here. So the peachy color, I'm going to make the same color as the background. So I click the color and then I'm taken to the document colors. So these are the colors that are already in the newsletter. So this right here is the color of the background. So I'm going to click that one. So I changed it. As you can see, it matches. Now I'm going to go to the yellow. And I'm going to change that to, I think a light purple maybe would be nice. I'm going to move this down. There we go. That looks nice. Okay, so I did the top. Now I'm going to do the same to the bottom design right here. So I'm going to change the peachy color to the background color. Then I'm going to move to the yellow. I'm going to make it this new purple color that I created. And whenever you create a new color, it's going to show up in the document colors on top. So now I've done that. And now I'm going to change the title of my newsletter. I'm going to make mine as if I were making my September newsletter. So I'm going to write Miss Garris's September newsletter. But as you can see, this does not fit in this box. So I'm going to make the font smaller, which can be done up here. So I'm going to decrease my font size to make it fit in the box. Okay, there we go. And I don't think I need this subheading right here. I'm going to delete it with this garbage can. Okay, that's all set. Now I think I'm going to add an element to my title. So I'm going to see, what should I add? So I'm going to look at the graphics for my design to see the ones that Canva recommends. Let's see, are any of these calling out to me? Maybe these clouds. Oh, that looks kind of cool. Maybe I could duplicate it. So this button right here is the duplicate button. And then I can put it over here. So the clouds are covering this side of my title. So in order to fix that, I'm going to click my image. I'm going to click these three dots. I'm going to go to the layer. And I'm going to click send backward. And then it's going to go behind my text. So I think that kind of looks cool. Maybe make it smaller. Yeah, that looks better. Maybe a little smaller. Yeah, so I'm going to leave that there for now. And now I'm going to move on to this section. So I usually like to include a note to my parents. So I'm going to write a note from Miss Garris. Okay. Now I'm going to make this section into an actual note. So I see they have a note, sticky note right here, but I don't know if I like the color. So I'm going to see if I can change it to a color that matches my theme. I could do purple, but do I like the purple? I think I might change it to, I changed it to the background color. There we go. Or maybe should I do, I think I'm going to change it to the background color. So that way it has this border. But actually, I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to go to the element section. I'm going to type in Notepad, see if they have a better image for me. And I'm going to actually use this one. So this one's more of like a note that was like taped. So I like this design. I'm going to keep it, make it a little bigger. Going to move it over. And then I'm going to change the colors. I'm going to make this orangey color. I'm going to make it blue. I'm going to make this other color. I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it blue also. No, I'm going to make it purple. And then the main note, I'm going to make the color of the background. There we go. Now we have my nice little note. And I see that it covered this light bulb here. So I'm going to bring the light bulb forward. I'm going to click it, click the three dots. And then I'm going to click layer and click bring forward. And now it's on top of the note. So that section's all done. I'm not going to write anything yet, but I'm going to write TBA. So I know I need to go back and fill this in. I'm going to make it a little bigger so I can see it. Awesome. Okay. Now, just going to move that up. Okay. Now I'm going to go to this reminder section. So I typically don't have a reminder section. I'm going to change this to this month we are learning. Okay. Gonna move that down. I'm also gonna change this text to say TBA. Gonna make it bigger. Okay. Gonna move this pencil down just a little bit, as well as this little squiggly. Okay, so now that's all set. This month we are learning. I'm gonna move this up a little higher. And that's okay, nice. Upcoming events I usually keep, so I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna change this to say TBA again. After school activities, I don't typically include in my newsletters, so I'm going to put this as the birthday section, because I also do like to have my students' birthdays listed as well. Going to take this out and write TBA. And then visit the online class page. So this I'm going to change to contact info. And then I would put my email. And I'm gonna make it a little bigger because it's kind of small. But as you can see, I have a long email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this bar, well, this border, wider, so then I can make my email fit. So I'm going to extend the text also. I'm going to make the font a little smaller. Okay, there we go. Now it all fits. And then I'm going to move this down. And then the birthdays are going to go over. Move that down. Move everything downwards. Put this in the middle so everything aligns. Okay. Make this maybe a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay. Looking good. It moves over. There we go. Looking good. Maybe I'm gonna move this to... I'm gonna make this a little bigger. I'm gonna move it over so it aligns now. I'm gonna move my text over. There we go. Gonna move my clouds over so it's all centered. I'm going, well, no, it's not centered. I'm gonna move it back over. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna make my note a little bigger, the border at least. Extend it. There we go. Gonna make the border of this bigger as well. There we go. That's extended. This needs to be extended a little bit to line up. There we go. Everything seems to be in line. But this needs to be moved over just a little bit. And this needs to be moved over as well. And if you want to select multiple things, you can left click and highlight what you would like to move. And then you can move it over. As you can see, I highlighted the TBA also. And then I'm also going to highlight, oops, not that, this section right here. I'm going to move it over, which also move the bottom, but it's okay because that still fits. And then I'm going to move this section as well. Going to move that over. Again, it's moving the bottom, but it's not making much of a difference. So that's okay to me. And I'm just going to make this a tad smaller. There we go. And now everything seems to be aligned. So I added the notes pad and then I added the clouds. I'm wondering if I should add something in this section. I think I'm going to add a balloon for the birthdays. Balloon, right, balloon. And again, you don't need too much graphics. I just wanted to include just some fun little ones. Hopefully not too distracting. what's more important is the content that's included. We always have to remember that. It's not always about the design, it's about what the content is. So this is my design. And if you're still working on yours, more power to you. I would love to see them when you're finished, so please send them to my email. I would love to see. And a way you can do this within Canva, it's really cool. If you click the share button and you click public view link, if you create the public view link and then you copy, you can copy this link and then send it to me in the email as well. So I would love to see it. Okay, but now that we've made a newsletter together, let's talk about student collaboration and how we can get students involved in our newsletters. So, some ways that we can get students involved with our newsletters is we can have students vote on which template we can use for our weekly or monthly newsletters. So maybe you can pick 2 or 3, maybe 4. And you can have students each week or each month have a vote and decide which one they like best. Or you could have them vote in the beginning of the year on one set layout for newsletters that you can use all year. It really depends on your preference. You can also have students work in partners on creating their own newsletter. So maybe you can have each student assigned, you can each have each pair of students assigned a week, and then they'll be in charge for that weekly newsletter. And this could be like maybe a classroom newsletter instead of one's going home to families, or it could be both. You can also have 2 students assigned to each month, depending on how many students are in your class. But now that we've covered newsletters, let's move on to presentations. So now we're going to learn how we can make one within Canva. But before we jump right into that, we have one more reflect and respond question. So what platforms or services have you used to create a presentation? I personally have used Canva, which I actually used to create this presentation, as you may have seen. I have used PowerPoint, I have used Google Slides, and I have also used Genially. Some of you have may heard of, some of you may have not heard of all of these, or some. Everyone has different experiences. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Maybe you've only known about Google Slides, that's fine. Or maybe you've only known about PowerPoint, that's totally fine. I'm interested in hearing your experiences. And again, you can comment your answers down below or send me an email. And then once we have answered this question, then we will dive right into our essential questions for creating our presentations, because those are also important and we need to think about these when we're creating them. So on to our questions. Essential questions. So it's important to ask ourselves these before we begin creating our presentations. So what is my topic? What are we creating this presentation about? Why is my topic necessary? What is my topic going to impact? Why is this necessary that I create a presentation on this topic? Who is my audience? Is your audience your students? Is it your colleagues? Is it your friends, your family? Endless opportunities. So once we have determined all of those, then we can begin our presentation. So I'm going to show you a presentation that I created within Canva for my previous back to school night. So this is the template I decided to use. It uses different colors, it uses the same fonts, but it uses the same border as well. So this was my title page. This was my class schedule that I included. As you can see, I included 2 graphics. Again, it's the same font at the top, same border, just different color. Again, same border, different color, same font also for the body text, same images. Conferences, dotted border again, same images, consistent fonts. Classroom management, same images but in different spots and different color, but again it's all the same theme. And that's again with these templates, they come get together with a set font and set backgrounds and such. And then I had my celebrations page, again same graphics, same font combination, and same border. And this is my ending page, and as you can see I did a different color but same border, same font, same dots at the bottom. And now that you've seen a potential presentation you can create within Canva, let's talk about how we can access these presentations. So when creating your presentation, you can utilize all the same tools you used to create your newsletter, but there is one tool that you can use in a presentation and not for a newsletter. And that tool is the layouts section in the design tab. So this section provides suggested layouts for slides in your presentation. Now let me show you how this works. So we'll use this presentation for example. So I'm going to go to the design tab. I'm already in layouts. And as you can see, it has given me numerous suggestions of how I can format this particular slide. And then when you click on it, it'll automatically ask you to replace the current page or add as a new page. Usually I do replace current page. So it automatically changes it for you. If you don't like it, you can always go to the top, hit the undo button, and then you'll be taken back to your original design. So now that we've covered that, let's talk about how we can get to our presentations. So we're going to go to canva.com, and then step 2 says click presentations underneath where it says what will you design. So instead of typing in the search bar, we can just click presentations right here. We will be brought to this page. This is where all the templates are. As you can see, they have a see all button for each of these sections for presentations, brainstorm presentations, and game presentations. But you can also search for a specific type of presentation as well. Step 3, you choose your design. So I'm going to go to presentations, click see all, see what design I just want to pick. As you can see, there's tons of designs. I'm going to click art, and actually I'm going to click class agenda. Okay, so I clicked my design and it says begin making it your own. So I'm going to click customize this template, and then I'll be brought to my workspace, which is the same as for if you were to create a newsletter. But when you often click a template in your presentation, you're going to be taken to the slide pages that it provides you. But to go back to the design tab, you're going to click the back button, and then you'll be taken back to your normal design tab. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the template that they've given me. So they have written things in here, so I can go in and change it to make it to my liking. So for class agenda, maybe I want to say classroom expectations. As you can see, it's way too big, so I would make it smaller so then it could fit inside. Expectations, and then I'll write pre-K 2024 to 2025. Oops, 2025. Okay. So I customize that to my liking. And maybe I don't want these pink dots right here, so I'm going to delete it. Maybe I don't want the yellow ones. I'm going to delete it. maybe I don't want this star. I'm going to delete it. And I'll move over this plant along with this shadow. And then I'll move this plant over a little bit with the shadow. Move this over as well. And there you go, I customize it. So the same goes for each other slide. Anything that is in here that you don't want, you can always delete it. And then the text, you can just write over it and make it your own. And if you don't need some of these slides, you can always delete them as well. So if I want to delete this thank you page, I can go down here, click the 3 dots, and click delete page, and then it's gone. And then if I'm like, oh, I want it back, I can go to the undo on the top of the page, hit undo, and it brings me right back to it. Okay, so now that we know how to access these presentations and how to customize them, let's talk about student collaboration. So I'm sure you know ways students can collaborate on presentations. For example, you can have them work in groups or partners, creating their own presentation on a topic you assign maybe. You can have students work collaboratively on one big class presentation throughout the year, where each student is assigned a role and or a slide. Maybe you could have each student assign a letter, and then you can have them pick an object that starts with that letter, and then their whole slide can be about that specific thing or item or they chose. There's honestly endless possibilities. But, so let's review. We've covered a lot today. We talked about how we can create newsletters and presentations using Canva. We learned all about the toolbar and what tools we have access to. We talked about student collaboration and how students can get involved with the creation of newsletters and presentations. We talked about the essential questions we should ask ourselves when creating these things. We've covered a lot, but now we've come to the end of our workshop. So, does anybody have any questions or comments? If so, please leave them down below or send me an email. I'll be more than happy to respond. And I would like to thank you so much again for participating in this workshop. It means a lot in my educational journey. And I'm going to attach an evaluation form in the description box below. So if you could please complete the form after watching this workshop, I would greatly appreciate it so I can learn how to further better assist educators in the future. And I also have created for you all a overview handout worksheet that I created into a PDF that I will also attach in the description box if you would like to download and save for yourself or view at your leisure. And you can also print to your liking as well. So again, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.